Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. What is on your screen right now is a true thing of beauty. It is a tweet from the CEO of Grayscale, Michael Sonnenshein, and it reads as follows. We've filed a lawsuit against the SEC. Golf clap for Mr. Sonnenshein, everybody. Now, we knew that this was highly likely to be coming. I've been covering this. Anything having to do with crypto and the SEC, I'm just as interested as you. So look, it's not just XRP holders and the XRP community that's under attack here. Grayscale, they've filed, I think, multiple times for a Bitcoin spot ETF. Today they were denied that spot Bitcoin ETF, and they rolled out a lawsuit immediately. They wasted almost 0 seconds. It's truly impressive how quickly this all came out. So I'm going to share with you comments from attorney John Deaton as well as Perry Ann Boring, who is the founder of the Digital Chamber of Commerce, who, by the way, she's made it publicly known, and I've mentioned this on the channel, that her organization, the Digital Chamber of Commerce, will be filing an amicus brief in the SEC versus Ripple case. So they're on our side, let's just say that. But before going any further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. By the way, this is not the video I thought I would be putting out right now. The news on this broke within the last few hours, so I shelved at least temporarily the content that I would have otherwise been recording right now because this definitely takes precedent. This is a big deal. Pushing back against the SEC, it seems to me, and it is nice to see, honestly, the entirety of the crypto space rallying together at this point. And so, I mean, I put out a tweet too, and I noted, I'm not going to highlight in this video, it doesn't matter, but I basically was just saying, hey, love to see this bringing the fight to the SEC instead of the other way around, because normally it's the other way around, the SEC suing participants within the crypto space. So let's get into some of the nuts and bolts here. First, just as a quick reminder, I'm not going to read this article, but the headline does say it all, right? This is from March 31st of this year, so again, we knew that this was coming. Here's a headline. Grayscale CEO's threatened lawsuit against the SEC in case it rejects his firm's spot Bitcoin ETF application. May be loaded with merit, especially if feds are withholding permission out of fear. And so it does seem that case. Well, that's what a lot of people are theorizing. I have a different theory. I mean, maybe it's partly out of fear. Even Hester Peirce has speculated that. So there could be some merit to that. There really could. That the people at the SEC, in case something goes wrong, they don't want to be there next that gets slit. Okay. But let me tell you this: there's no shortage of rumors of. Like, the real reason being that there's a different firm that and that's been talked about more and more lately. There's a different firm that the SEC wants to approve and has to do with backroom deals and who knows who, and that would be the largest fund on the entire planet, which is BlackRock, which has trillions upon trillions of dollars of assets under management. And what's been coming out here is that the expectation is that since BlackRock, they're the ones that know everybody at the top and at the SEC, upper echelons of government agencies within the United States, they're the ones that would ultimately get approved. So don't be surprised to see if that's the case. Now, mind you, they haven't even filed, to my knowledge, they haven't even filed a Bitcoin spot ETF. But they have filed, and this is unrelated, 5 or 6 months ago, I think they filed a blockchain ETF, but that's completely separate. What you need to understand moving forward here is that a spot Bitcoin ETF allows people, in particular, they'll be interested if they're not invested in crypto currently, to get exposure to the crypto asset class. So if there's a Grayscale spot Bitcoin ETF that, if, say, it had been approved, then Grayscale could move to have their fund listed on, for instance, the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. And so then you'd have the same protections that you'd have under the SEC for any security that you'd purchase on those centralized exchanges. And it's important for Bitcoin specifically because the Bitcoin spot ETF would be backed by actual Bitcoin, so it impacts supply and demand. Whereas with futures markets, because Bitcoin futures, those got approved at the end of 2017. They've been around a long time. That does not impact the actual supply and demand. Now, indirectly, you could argue it could get people interested or disinterested, in theory, in the crypto space. So in that sense, okay, fine, but it doesn't directly impact the supply and demand. And of course, if there is a fund like Grayscale buying more Bitcoin and that there's less available to purchase ultimately, and more people are purchasing into this spot Bitcoin ETF, well, that's still a net plus for the entire crypto space. And if you're wondering, well, why wouldn't people just buy crypto outright? Look, people are set in their ways. People, generally speaking, don't necessarily like change, don't do well with change. So if you've already got your situation set up and you can purchase all the stocks in the world that you want on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, and you're aware of crypto peripherally, but that's about it. If you now see, oh, there's this new thing I can buy, and it would get me, access to this other asset class, and I don't have to sign up for another exchange. I don't have to find out what Coinbase is or anything else. Well, that's why. That's exactly the reason why. And so now here's the latest headline from tonight from Cointelegraph. Breaking: Grayscale launches legal challenge to Bitcoin spot ETF rejection. And this happens so fast. You're going to be amazed by the turnaround here. And it shows the gusto with which Grayscale is really moving forward. Grayscale Investments has launched a legal challenge against the Securities and Exchange Commission after being denied its application to convert its Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, or GBTC for short, into a spot-based Bitcoin exchange-traded fund. On June 29th, it announced that its senior legal strategist, former U.S. Solicitor General Donald B. Verrilli Jr., had filed a petition for review with the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit. Verrilli stated that the latest decision shows that the SEC is acting, quote, arbitrarily and capriciously by failing to apply consistent treatment to similar investment vehicles, end quote, and will be pursuing a legal challenge based on the SEC's alleged violation of the Administrative Procedure Act and Securities Exchange Act. Grayscale Investments, which has $12.92 billion of assets under management in its GBTC, had been waiting on a decision from the SEC to convert its flagship Bitcoin trust into a spot-based ETF since filing its application to the regulator on October 19, 2021. According to a filing from the securities regulator on June 29th, the application was disapproved, quote, to protect investors and the public interest because the proposal failed to demonstrate how it is designed to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts and practices, end quote. So isn't that something? We don't know about this whole Bitcoin thing. I mean, of course, Gary Gensler says it's a commodity. You have a short Bitcoin ETF, right? You've got Bitcoin futures, but we can't have a spot Bitcoin ETF. Does it seem a little peculiar to you? Piece continues. The decision came out a full week before the July 6th deadline and came on the same day as a similar rejection of Bitwise's Bitcoin exchange-traded product. Michael Sonnenshein, Grayscale's CEO, in a statement on Wednesday said they were deeply disappointed and vehemently disagreed with the SEC's decision to deny their application. Here's a quote: "We will continue to leverage the full resources of the firm to advocate for our investors and the equitable regulatory treatment of Bitcoin investment vehicles." Piece continues. Addressing his 19,400 Twitter followers, James Seifert, an ETF analyst at Bloomberg Intelligence, said, while the lawsuit has been filed, a court ruling on the matter is not expected until third quarter 2023 to first quarter 2024, meaning that we may not see the GBTC going forward anytime soon. So, although the wheels officially got moving on this today from a legal perspective, this might not have finality from a legal perspective for a good year and a half or so. Welcome to the world of what it is to be an XRP holder. I say that to the rest of the world of crypto, not in XRP. Come join the party, right? Take on the SEC with us. I'm just saying. And then there was this from Attorney John Deaton, and actually, funny enough, he tweeted this out, like this first tweet. I think it was. Let's check the time. I think 10 minutes before Michael Sonnenshein, CEO of Grayscale, put out the tweet which is now on your screen. We filed a lawsuit against the SEC 10 minutes before he's tweeted that, which was the first notification that had indeed been the case. Attorney John Deaton was sharing a story about this, the Grayscale Bitcoin spot ETF being denied, and he tweeted the following. He said Gary Gensler just admitted that Bitcoin is a commodity, but he won't allow for a spot Bitcoin ETF. He allows a Bitcoin futures ETF and a Bitcoin short ETF for hedge funds, professional traders, and big Wall Street bankers. But the average Joe can't participate. Utterly shameful. And then in a separate tweet, just 5 minutes after that, he tagged Michael Sonnenschein and said, "I hope you file suit tomorrow morning." Oh, he did better than that, as attorney John Deaton then noted just a little bit after that. He said, he retweeted the tweet from Sonnenschein, which he said, "Hey, filed lawsuit against the SEC," and attorney Deaton said, "That's what I'm talking about. I just tweeted, I hope you file tomorrow morning, and you do even better." Awesome. Now, worth noting here, it's not like they just got the news and they started typing up this lawsuit today. No. In fact, the actual lawsuit is 92 pages. So they had this thing ready to go in full anticipation that the SEC would not do what is right. And then they probably modified any little thing last minute based on the specifics of what the SEC wrote today in their denial, and then bam, sent it off. So I won't pretend to have read this thing. It's 92 pages. This thing just broke, but we do know the gist of what is in here, right? And I want to give credit and a shout out to XRP community member and attorney James Filan for sharing that document less than 2 hours after the news broke. He already had the 92-page document available to view in his Dropbox. He shared the link on his Twitter account, so that was cool. Also want to share this from Perry and Boring, who is the founder of the Digital Chamber of Commerce, who again, although they haven't acted yet, they promised that they're going to soon at some point in the coming months. They're going to file an amicus brief in the SEC versus Ripple case. And from what she said publicly, it does seem like the Digital Chamber of Commerce is going to be on the side of XRP holders, not on the side of Ripple and not on the side of the SEC. Just like John Deaton is. John Deaton, it's not that he's not against Ripple, but that's immaterial to what he's doing right now. He's on the side of XRP holders. That's John's position. And that's the appropriate position if you're filing an amicus brief. Anyway, here's what Perry Ann had to say. Tonight, the SEC rejected the Bitwise Invest Bitcoin ETP Trust and the conversion of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to a spot Bitcoin ETF. This is extremely disappointing. The continued pattern of a denial can no longer be justified in light of the SEC's approval of a futures and spot Bitcoin ETF product. The SEC has been provided a significant amount of data demonstrating that a substantial and regulated market surveillance framework has developed around Bitcoin trading over the past few years. Exchange-traded funds are perhaps the most impactful and innovative investment product introduced over the past 30 years, and the fact the SEC has denied every application filed for a spot Bitcoin ETF since 2013 baffles me. At least 16 issuers, including some of the largest and most respected names in the asset management industry, have worked with United States stock exchanges to file spot Bitcoin ETF applications with the SEC to date. All have been denied, some multiple times. It's estimated that 16% of Americans own cryptocurrency today. A spot Bitcoin ETF would provide U.S. investors the ability to invest in Bitcoin under the protections of the United States securities laws. While the SEC continues to stonewall approval of this important product, many other highly regulated jurisdictions, such as Canada and Australia, have approved a spot Bitcoin ETF products for retail investors, leaving United States investors at a big disadvantage. So there you go. And then it brings us full circle back to the speculation, like what's going on here? Is it being denied because they're waiting for BlackRock to get their ducks in a row so that they can go ahead and file for their spot Bitcoin ETF? Are they going to have a different Bitcoin product first? Are they going to have something like a trust? Maybe create a trust and then convert that to a spot. Are they going to file to convert that like Grayscale did into a spot Bitcoin ETF? Or is it really just that these people, these asshats at the top of the SEC, really are just that afraid to approve anything having to do with this. And if so, they need to get the hell out of their positions because they're harming investors. I mean, to do that to save their own rear side, it's just despicable if that's indeed the case. And all we can do is speculate on that front. Whatever the rationales, whatever the real reasons are, they're unacceptable. And you can say that pretty confidently, understanding even now. And I argue that in a general sense, crypto big scale, like crypto's in its nascency, it is sufficiently mature to understand the crypto asset class is here to stay. There's a sufficient understanding of how Bitcoin operates. There's a reason that SEC has approved other aspects of crypto adoption. There's there's the Bitcoin futures ETF. There's now the short one. I mean, there's no shortage of an understanding of all of this. And other corners of the world, as Perrian pointed out here, they have approved their own spot Bitcoin ETFs. But why not here in the United States then? It just doesn't make any sense. And so, like I said when I started the video, it's just super good to see. It's super satisfying to see that the fight is being brought to those asshat pricks at the SEC. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.